Well, 2 days ago we got the Season 12 blog, we got a trailer, and now today we have a director's take, which gives you a deep dive into the new competitive updates for Season 12. If you're a ranked Overwatch player, you want to listen up because this is going to be the good stuff. Hey all, Gavin Winter here from the systems team. You've probably learned at this point that if I'm talking, I'm explaining topics in more detail than anyone asked for, and the tone will be at least slightly irreverent. You can expect more of that in today's director's take. For those who don't know Gavin Winter, if you watch any of the dev blogs from previous years, we can cut to what he looks like. He's there. He's that guy. He's a good guy. We love him. Okay, in Season 9, we talked about how we wanted to make each new competitive year a big event for the game, but we also mentioned that our mid-year patches would be bigger than others too. Over the past several months, our Versus player experience and features team have built several systems that are designed to improve our core gameplay experience for Season 12. Updates to avoid a teammate. So let's start with the feel-good feature that everyone will be excited about, avoiding more players we don't like. We talked about this feature in a developer update earlier this year, but we've used that time to push this feature even further since then. The system now features 15 avoid slots, with 2 different types of slots making up those 15. You have 3 pinned avoid slots that allow you to permanently avoid a player. Unlike our avoid slots, these pinned slots never time out. Now, the other 12 recent avoid slots time out after like 7 days, like in our previous system. They also use a priority system that takes many factors into account when determining whether an avoided player can be placed in a match with you. Here's a picture of what it looks like here. So Gavin says here that for most of our players, these recent avoid slots function the same as our old previous slots, effectively always preventing these players from being placed in your match. It is also important to note that it's still possible to get players in recent avoid slots in your matches though. This can actually still happen when you're at a very high rank or you're in a low population region during off hours. As the queue time increases, we'll slowly begin ignoring players at the bottom of the recent list. You can reset the duration of each player on the recent list individually and sending them back to the top of the recent list. The new system also automatically replaces the player with the shortest duration on your recent list if your list is full, preventing you from having to micromanage the list. Okay, so in short, it seems that because they're adding 15 slots, that's gonna really slow down matchmaking. If you have 15 players constantly avoided, you have no right to complain about like a 10-minute queue time, especially if you're at a high rank. And he did say here, just because I already know somebody on social media is going to complain, I avoided this player, but they still got in my match. What gives? They didn't read or listen to the dev blog. It's actually not their fault, because if you don't really read into all the patch notes, you may not realize that the avoid isn't working as advertised, but maybe in this fine print there, you'll see it. Or if you listen to these videos, again, it's a priority avoid list. High chance they won't be in your game, but if they're really low on like the 15th slot on the bottom, and again, low population region or extremely high ranks where they literally cannot find a match and it's been like 20-30 minutes in queue, they're just gonna put you in the game anyways because like, yeah. Introducing competitive drives. What the hell is this? A drive is a new competitive event we'll run for the first time this season. Our first drive will start near the end of the season and will take place over a weekend. And during that time, every match you play in competitive role queue has a chance to earn new rewards. When you win matches, you'll earn a drive score and progress towards the next checkpoint, and each checkpoint has a reward. Some are big payouts of competitive points, but others are an all new type of reward for Overwatch 2 that we'll call signatures. They frame your battle tag with a unique visual backing that'll make your accomplishments stand out until our next drive. Here are some examples. So here we have some pictures. Honestly, these look pretty damn cool, and actually another way to kind of like show off. Now, my only feedback here is that it's a small like weekend, which kind of like, I thought this would be like a end of season reward. If anything, they should have these battle tag like visual backings if you hit like a certain rank or play like a lot and do really well in a certain season. That's just my 2 cents, instead of like having this as a grandiose marketing scheme to get you to play and log in on a weekend just to earn these rewards. But I see why they're doing it with marketing, but me as a consumer who actually doesn't play on the weekends, I don't stream weekends, I try to take time off with family and stuff. I'm probably not going to have these battle tags, which sucks. I'm not going to lose sleep over it, but you know, this could have been something they added as a competitive reward outside of these small limited drive events that they're going to try to do. Anyways, I digress. Moving on. Big thing here is resetting the ranks. Yes, the start of Season 12 will be a soft rank reset like the one we deployed in Season 9. Believe it or not, that was 6 months ago. That means we'll be decaying everyone's rank and moving all the ranks closer to the average rank, aka they're removing their uncertainty. That's what a soft reset is. It's not a hard reset, but it's a soft reset where the uncertainty variable in your rating, if you want to get into the algorithm and math, is going to be reset. Gavin says, we think that whenever we make a big gameplay change like the ones discussed in this blog, like a whole new game mode like Clash coming out and hero balance changes that are a little crazy, it makes sense to enable placements and give players a chance to push for a new career high. Rank resets are also the only time we can redefine the thresholds of our ranks, and while we are much happier with the rank distribution after Season 9, there was still some work we wanted to do. We wanted Champion to be a very prestigious rank, but unfortunately Champion 1 was almost impossible to achieve. Champion, Grandmaster, and Master all had fewer players than we actually think they should, so we've remodeled our target rank distribution in our highest ranks. We also still had a few too many players in our lowest ranks, so that distribution has changed a bit too. Most of our highest and lowest ranked players will find themselves achieving new peaks after this reset, but the combination of techniques we've been using in the reset gives everyone an opportunity to prove their higher rank than they've ever been. So I'm seeing, what I'm reading here is they obviously made Champion too hard to get. It was very prestigious for sure, but like nobody hitting Champion 1 kind of sucks. So now they're flattening out the curve a little bit, so you get pushed up a little bit on the high end, and on the low end I think it kind of evens out, but then on the outliers, on the low bronze, I think it gets pushed up a little bit as well. I think this is good. The only downside is I think it's too soon. They're barely recovering from the first reset half a year ago. I think this should be a good sign. I think a lot of casual players, when they first heard the MMR reset was happening in the trailer, that they were a little upset because it was too soon, and they're a casual player, and if you're a casual, how many hours can you realistically put into the game to climb? What if they just climbed, hit a new peak, and now they have to start all over again because their uncertainty isn't good? If they do bad in their placements, that's gonna disincentivize them, because if they go like 3 and 7, they just hit a new peak on this new reset from Season 9. They hit plat, and now they got reset back to the high silver. They're never gonna want to play again. On the flip side though, people are gonna be reaching new peaks if they're an active player. So it's good for some, bad for the casuals. I think the MMR reset is a fine thing to do, but maybe not semi-annually or every 6 months, but every year. Every year would be okay. Introducing wave respawn. So next up, we're removing the group respawn feature and replacing it with a feature we like a lot more, but first we have some explaining to do. So you might remember from Season 7 that the goal of the group respawn was to reduce the occurrences of one-sided matches. Thanks to the amazing efforts of our data analysts, we've learned a lot about what one-sided matches in Season 7, and we have good news to share. All right, look at this graph, guys. Group respawn made a bigger difference in reducing one-sided matches than any change we've ever made. Wow, look at that. Before group respawn in orange, after group respawn change was added in blue. So all the one-sided matches were reduced by what? 2, 5, 8, 11, 14, 18, 22% for one-sided matches, up to Grandmaster equivalent for the MMR, because Quickplay does have a hidden MMR, if you guys don't know. While Quickplay doesn't have visible ranks, we still use MMR to try to make the best matches we can. That's right, it's called skill-based matchmaking in Quickplay, and that lets us see which ranks benefited the most from the system. We were really surprised to learn that group respawn had the biggest impact at Champion and Grandmaster and the lowest impact at Bronze. The system still made a significant difference at all ranks though. Grouping up with your team reduces the chance of being on the losing side of a one-sided match considerably. We believe it reduces the chance so much that helping our highest skilled players do it more often had the highest impact. This system also made it much harder for that random on your team to throw your games by constantly attacking alone on repeat. So those things were great, but the biggest problem with group respawn was how dying first often led to getting buried by a long sequence of teammates dying in a row, making your individual respawn time a lot longer. This meant that their times were shorter, but it also meant yours was longer. Wave respawns fixes that by ensuring your respawn time will always be shorter than the default if another hero was already dead. You actually might be familiar with wave respawn systems in other games, but here's exactly what's different about respawning in Season 12 for quick play and competitive. Default respawn times across all the games now are going to be increased from 10 to 12 seconds. Overtime respawn increased from 13 to 14 seconds. Wave respawn is going to be disabled in overtime, And the overtime respawn time is actually not increased in Flashpoint. So basically how wave respawn works. When the first hero on a team dies, killed by Widow, okay? We start a new wave for their team. Any hero that dies within 6 seconds of a wave starts joining that wave. A hero joining that wave will respawn at the exact same time as the hero that started the wave. That means the respawn time of heroes joining the wave can be as long as 12 seconds, the maximum time, if they died at the same time as the first hero, or as short as 6 seconds if they catch the end of the wave. If a hero starts a wave and no other hero has joined the wave when their respawn timer reaches 6 seconds, we subtract 2 seconds from their respawn time. So that means they actually come back in 10 seconds, which was the default before. Wave respawn is also disabled when the payload is near the end of the track. In Escort and Hybrid, the same time our existing anti-stall system activates. I'm curious to know actually what exact meter distance end of the track means, but I think they kept those numbers out for simplicity's sake, as they might be tuning it as in iterating it, which is why they don't put a number in a blog like this in case it changes and they don't want to backtrack and edit this. I get that. If you're an Overwatch player, Season 12, you have a 12-second respawn on paper by default, but if nobody joins your wave, you're actually back at 10 seconds. Like, you just solo died, you're the only death in the last 10 seconds, or 12 seconds, it'll get cut down to 10 seconds. If somebody dies at some point in a 6-second bubble, a window after you first die, it'll be whatever that wave is. So I die at 12, 11, 10, 9, this person died, They joined me. They actually only have an 8-second death timer. I had to suffer the 12, but at least they get 8. So that at least we come back in waves or like as a group. I think my explanation was easier. Or maybe Gavin's was actually pretty easy to understand. Maybe I'm just stupid. Even though the default respawn time has gone up, we actually expect respawn times to be lower on average in Season 12 because respawning alone is actually the same time as before, and many heroes will be respawning in less than 10 seconds with their teammates. We like how these changes have led to more team fights in our playtests, and we're excited for fewer one-sided matches in competitive play. Most importantly though, we'll be listening to your feedback and monitoring the results of these changes to determine how we might improve respawning further in the future. Now, final update for Flashpoint. We've noticed that walking simulators are a lot less popular these days. So we've added a speed boost to all spawn exits in Flashpoints. Think of these like the boost pads in your favorite party racing game. Passing them will give you a significant short-term speed boost that'll help you get back to the point faster, so be spending more time fighting, less time walking. Basically like home guard boots in League of Legends is what I'm thinking, right? Dealing damage or taking damage will immediately remove this buff, so even if combat occurs near the spawn rooms, this speed buff won't have much of an impact. This boost will not let you break that 75% increased movement cap that's locked in the game. So if your hero has a speed boost effect, the sweatiest way to use it is to wait for the spawn door boost to wear off slightly first. So he's basically saying you can't break the cap, don't stack it. So don't Lucio amp out of spawn anymore. Don't Juno speed ring, because you won't be able to break that limitation anyways. You want to let it taper off and then amp at the end, but you lose the cooldown because you'll be closer to the fight. I kind of like this because it removes the cheesiness of like a lot of control maps where people have to run Lucio and Symmetra, where you sim TP out of spawn and then Lucio amp, and the team that doesn't have a Lucio just basically loses meeting in the middle all the time, which is kind of bad. So now hopefully with this gone, you can actually don't feel as bad for not playing Lucio on control, especially in pro play. If you stuck around through my absurdity, thanks for reading and thanks for playing Overwatch 2. Let's make a great game. Thanks, Gavin. That is a very juicy blog. Season 12 is shaping up to be a very hefty season full of big changes. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Bye.